So regarding Genla Rinpoche's book, the hindrances listed in the book don't seem the same. Okay, they aren't the same. There's, in the Pali tradition, the early suttas, the Buddha talks about the 5 hindrances, which is the list that I've been talking about so far, in which we've done 4 of them. In later in Mahayana texts, specifically those by Maitreya and Asanga, then they talk about 5 faults and 8 antidotes, and so they are different lists. So I was hoping to get to that list tomorrow, if not today. Okay? Yeah? No, it's in the, what's the title of Genla Rinpoche's book? Calming the Mind. Okay. And is there something, some chapter in the book you would suggest focusing on if I've not read the whole book? Well, I read the whole book a long time ago, and I can't think, I don't have the table of contents in my mind, so I recommend reading the whole book. Yeah, because, serenity was Genla Rinpoche's specialty, along with Lamrim practice, so I would suggest reading the whole thing. Also because these topics need quite a bit of explanation. We often want, just give me the gist here. So the gist sometimes you can get, but if you don't have all the explanation around it, you don't know how everything fits in together. Yeah, so it's helpful to go through the whole thing. Okay, so someone spoke about drowsiness and dullness this morning. I think she said lethargy and laxity. Okay, and that's because lethargy and laxity are in their laxity is in the list of the 5 faults from the Maitreya text. Okay, please elaborate on how to increase intensity. Is brightening the mind, visualizing more light. Okay, so this is what she was talking about was laxity, okay, which is from the other list, not the one I've been describing. The one I've been doing is drowsiness and dullness. The one, it sounds like you described, talks about laxity being one of the faults. That's a little bit different, because laxity is when you're still on the meditation object. You aren't falling asleep. You haven't lost the object. You're on the object, but the mind isn't there. The clarity is lacking, and the intensity of the clarity is lacking. Okay? This fault, this problem comes up after you've done some meditation already. This is not the chief problem at the beginning. Okay? Because at the beginning, our chief problem, is getting ourselves to the cushion, overcoming our laziness, being able to establish mindfulness on the object. Okay? Then the hindrances of excitement and laxity come. Okay? So they become prominent a little bit later on. Okay? So just like I said before, the laxity is when you have some clarity, but it's not very intense. Okay, so then what you need to do is make the object brighter, in your mind, and let me think. Yeah, and you need to just tighten the focus just a little bit, so that you can sharpen the mind. This kind of there's gross laxity and subtle laxity. The subtle laxity, which we should only have that problem. That happens, much further on. The subtle laxity, many people actually mistake for serenity. Yeah, and they don't recognize it, and they say that you can stay and meditate like that for quite a long time and not even recognize that there's laxity in the mind. Okay? So, we want to be careful of that one. But like I said, at least at the beginning, that's not our chief problem. Yeah, our chief problem is we got to get ourselves to the cushion. Don't we? Yeah? Would you say that's one of your chief problems, is getting yourself to the cushion on a daily basis? Yeah. So, let's start with that one. Yeah. And then, after we've got that one down, then, let's remember the instruction and create the image of the Buddha, or know what we're looking for in the breath, and really make our mindfulness strong. That's the second task. Okay? Okay, so in the morning meditation, we did a short 10-minute, very focused meditation on the Buddha. And then instruction for the brief in-between non-meditation times was to relax the mind. Can you please explain, elaborate, suggest some ways? Okay, so you're still on the cushion. So this is often the way they say to do when you're trying to develop serenity, is you do a short session, very focused, then you take a few minutes and quote, quote, relax the mind. We usually think relax the mind means turn on the television or take a nap. Okay, here that's not the meaning of relax the mind. Yeah, it's just that when you're you're trying to develop serenity, you really focus quite intently on that, and then you just take a break from that. It's just 2 or 3 minutes, so you might open your eyes, just stretch your focus, look a long distance, something like that. Doesn't have to be very long, and then again lower your eyes and go back to your meditation. Okay? So mindfulness, to focus on the image. You suggested using mindfulness once we've established the image of the Buddha. Please elaborate on mindfulness. Oh, this is challenging. Yeah, it is. Okay. Mindfulness. There's a lot of different meanings of mindfulness and a lot of confusion about what mindfulness means, because it also means different things in different situations, and according to different teachers they use it in different ways. And now that you have psychologists and neuroscientists teaching mindfulness meditation, it has another meaning. Okay, so here mindfulness, it's the sometimes that the word sati can also be translated as memory. So it's in the context of developing serenity, mindfulness is a mental factor that you use to place your attention on your object of meditation, and it functions in such a way as to prevent distraction to other objects. Okay, that's what mindfulness is. So to have mindfulness, you have to know what your object of meditation is. So let's say you're using the image of the Buddha. You have to look and know what the Buddha looks like. And then when you begin your meditation, you place your mind, you create the image, place your mindfulness on that, with a strong intention, so that your mindfulness stays on the object in such a way that you don't start zoning out in la-la land, falling asleep, and you don't go to the carnival in your mind of attachment, or hatred or jealousy or whatever it is, but you stay on the object of meditation. So that's what mindfulness is doing. When we get distracted, Okay, then another mental factor that functions closely with mindfulness is called introspective awareness, and it checks the mind, and they say it's like a spy. It kind of checks up and observes, am I on the object of meditation, or have I gone elsewhere? Is my mind elsewhere? If we're on our object of meditation, we keep it there. If our mind has started roaming the universe, then we have to apply the antidote to bring the mind back and renew our mindfulness on the object. Okay, so the mindfulness is one of the chief things that keeps your attention on the object. Okay, mindfulness as it develops, for example, if you're practicing the 4 establishments of mindfulness, mindfulness has an aspect of wisdom with it too. Okay, so you'll see that the way mindfulness is often used in pop culture, is not this definition of mindfulness. Okay, the one that we very often hear, which has really permeated, I'm so surprised, somebody who isn't even remotely connected with Buddhism, I heard them say last week, we have to be mindful about something. And I was going, where did you learn that word? But people use mindful in regular society now to mean pay attention, or to, just be some kind of self-awareness about what you're doing, something like that. Okay, so that's how it's used in, let's say, when John Kabat-Zinn teaches, mindfulness meditation as an antidote to chronic pain, or when psychologists teach it for obsessive compulsive disorder or other things, then they're using mindfulness in that way. And that usage of mindfulness actually comes from Mahasi Sayadaw. He was a Burmese meditation teacher, and that's very much how he used the word mindfulness in his specific meditation technique. Okay, it's not how the word mindfulness is used in the Pali scriptures in general, and it's not how the word mindfulness is used in the Mahayana scriptures either when we're talking about concentration. Okay, so there's just this diversity of ways in which the word is used. Okay, so in our meditation, it really applies. You know what your object of meditation is, and it puts your focus on that object. It isn't just sitting there kind of observing what passes through my mind. That's not it. Okay? Is that clear? Yeah.
I read one, I don't know if it's, I think so. He was explaining the mindfulness and awareness, and he said he used a cup of tea that is full, and you have to walk from the kitchen, and you're holding your cup, it's full, so you're really aware that you don't want to drop it. You're mindful, and you're aware of around the people, the wall, the stairs, whatever. Mindful of the cup and aware of
Okay, then there's another question here. As we depart to continue our practice and learning of the Dharma, what reading books, authors, teachers would be helpful for beginners? Okay, so I like this question actually, because it shows that somebody is thinking about continuing their practice and is seeing this short retreat that we're doing as a little injection of energy, but is intending to keep on, because that's the real way you're going to make progress. Dharma practice, you really have to do something steady. If you come to to a retreat and then don't do anything until the next retreat, which is in a month or 5 months or whenever you get around to it, then, in the meantime, you've lost what you've developed. So establishing a daily practice is really essential. So this question is quite thoughtful. Okay? So, reading books, authors, different things. I would say, first of all, if there is a Dharma center in your community with a good teacher, then it's very valuable to go for actual teachings, with a teacher and to practice together with a community. Because when you do so, if you're going with the community, then you go on those days because everybody's expecting you to go and you're expecting them to go and your practice gets done. And if you have teachings from a real live human being, it's very, very good because you can ask questions and so on and really learn a lot from the discussion. Then in addition to that, or if you don't have that, then there's different online programs, there's books, there's, a wealth of information. So in terms of online programs, we have Sravasti Abbey Friends Education, which is rolling out Module 3, together with Module 1 and 2 this autumn. There's also other online programs. There's one at Jamyang Center in England with Geshe Tashi that's very good. There is Yangtze Rinpoche's online program from Maitripa College, which is also good, so I recommend those. In terms of books, anything by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, of course, I would recommend. If you look in the back of my books, then I have usually, recommended reading and things like that. This question is asking particularly for beginners. I would say for beginners, the SAFE program would be quite good. Sravasti Abbey Friends Education. And how many of you are doing that? I think some of you are doing it, yeah? Yeah, are you finding it useful? Yeah. So, that and one of the books that we have available there, Guided Meditations on the Stages of the Path. That's very good because it has all the meditations that help you contemplate the different topics that the Buddha taught. And that kind of, it's called Lamrim meditation or analytic meditation, where you're thinking about the topics of the Buddha's teachings. And I think that's extremely helpful because we really need to get the Buddhist worldview, and have the Buddhist worldview. And then when we practice to gain serenity or insight or whatever, we know what we're doing and why we're doing it. Yeah, so I think that's quite important. Otherwise, we engage in these other practices, but we don't know how they fit in to the whole totality of what the Buddha taught. So those Lamrim meditations are very effective. Samten is a big advocate there. He'll tell you all about them. Yeah.
It's a major turning point. I established a daily meditation. I put it on my iPod, and every morning it was just over and over and over again. Every time we finished, we just keep going through it again over and over.
Yeah.
How do you spell the name Lam?
Oh, Lamrimpa, Lamrim, Lamrim. Yeah, it's variously translated as stages of the path or gradual path. Okay. Khenzer Jampa Tekchok's book on the 37 practices of bodhisattvas, was that what you chanted today? Or yes? Okay, so tomorrow is the 37 practices. So that text is really wonderful. His commentary on it, Transforming Adversity into Joy and Courage, is really wonderful. I recommend that. There's a lot of good Dharma books out there now. Yeah, you just need to know how to find them. Yeah.
Some of them you can
Hmm.
If you have iPads or something like that, a Dharma book app, and you can get a lot of it free.
Oh, really? Huh.
There's one of yours that's free.
Yes.
Really? That's great.
It looked like it was put up by Friends of Sravasti Abbey or something. It might have been a transcript of something. I'll
Huh.
have to look it up and let you know.
Oh, yeah.
If you have in your library and they're from Singapore, they're on the iPad.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because the people in Singapore, all the small books published for free distribution, we said, yes, give it to people free. Yes, you can get those.
I want to mention something that many of us use regularly, and that's called the telephone, or your smartphone. To do it is that Zopa and I, for many years, meditated over the telephone, and since she is now at the Abbey, I couldn't do that directly, so I found a lady in my community to meditate with 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for 30 minutes. We set our intention first, meditate over the telephone for 30 minutes, and then dedicate it. And samsara bill goes up and down, and we watch our minds, and we come to the cushion. We've still done that for a number of years. Zopa and I did that for many years, and we've done it continue. So I think that's a great way. It's a real commitment,
Yeah,
to make the regular meditation practice happen.
right.
It's pretty amazing. So if you can ever do that, I would recommend that.
Yeah, it's very good. When he says meditate on the telephone, he doesn't mean you're holding the phone. It means you call the other person, then you put the phone down. Okay. Yeah.
And it's that you don't just have it hang up. But the good part, if you're actually connected with the phone down, is that no one can call you.
Right.
The visual part.
Uh-huh. And also, if you move too much, they can hear it. Yeah.
That's been so helpful.
Yeah. And then another friend of ours, what he does is he meditates at the same time we do at the Abbey. Yeah, so he kind of makes his sessions the same times as we do here, and then he feels, okay, there's a community that I'm meditating with. Mm-hmm.
Also, people, he just emailed the office, and Venerable has kindly created a letter with most of this in it, including the book titles, the website connections. So just write to the office and say, what's that list?
Yeah. Okay. And then what would be a recommended routine for practice of our meditation? Okay, so I think morning and evening is quite good, and make it as long as you can in a way that's comfortable for you, but make it consistent. Okay, that's quite important. And then how do we identify those teachers who can help us stay on the path of clarity and truth? That's a very important question. Okay, in this day and age of charlatanandas. By the way, do you remember Reverend Moon? He just died. Yeah, there was a big article about him. Yeah, so Reverend Moon, he was the one who matched up couples and did these mass weddings and had huge business enterprises raking in tons of money, and declared himself the Messiah. Yeah. Yeah. So it's very important to find really reliable teachers. Yeah. So what I recommend is you can go to different centers and see, check out the teachings if they correspond with the general Buddhist way of teaching. Of course, if you're a beginner, you don't know what the general Buddhist way of teaching is, so that's difficult. Nowadays, you can also, you can Google a lot of these names, and if the teachers are controversial, if you Google, you will begin to see it. Yeah, so there are definitely controversial Buddhist teachers out there, and there's a whole organization that's quite controversial. It's come out against His Holiness the Dalai Lama, so I recommend not getting involved in that organization. So nowadays you can check out more on the teachers online, but then you also, when you go to centers, look at how the other students are and how they behave, because that will give you an indication of what you're likely to turn out like. It's not that all the students have to be angels, They're all ordinary people who get angry and make mistakes. But, you can tell if there's some weird group think going on. Yeah. And if you're only allowed to read one teacher's books, and you're not allowed to do this and that and the other thing, and if people are going, oh, my teacher's the one and only, the best, this and that, who's realized, the real Dharma teachers are quite humble. Yeah, you look at the example of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and people run up and go, oh, are you the Buddha of compassion? And he goes, I'm a simple Buddhist monk. Yeah? Whereas you have other teachers who, kind of drop little hints as if they've realized emptiness or, attain this, that, or the other thing. So, I personally go much for, I like His Holiness's approach. And if you listen to His Holiness teach, it's just marvelous. And you can also, if you go to the Dalai Lama's website, there's his talks that you can also listen to online. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Yeah.
What all should be included in a daily practice? I just found out how much time daily practice might want. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, what are we going to fill in with all that time after you meditate and do your initiation practice or something like that?
Yeah.
What all should be
Okay. In the book, The Guided Meditations on the Stages of the Path, it explains all that. So like there's a meditation on the Buddha that you've been doing these days. And then you can include with that a little bit of meditation on the breath to help you settle down. Some Lamrim meditation every day that's very effective. And then as you get further into the Dharma, then you can begin to learn some purification practices and different things. Okay? And, another thing is to come and, stay at the Abbey for a week and see how we practice. And then that also gives you an idea of how to structure your meditation practice at home. Okay?
I just want not to belabor the point, but I just wanted to kind of touch what you were saying earlier about teachers, and it's just really important because it's your spiritual real estate is so precious.
Oh, yeah.
That so many people.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most important decision you make. It's much more important than who you marry.
So it's yeah.
Yeah. Who you marry, if you marry, that, that's just this life. But, when you connect with somebody as a Dharma teacher, it's going to influence all your future lives.
And as Westerners, sometimes we, because it's not part of our culture to have that, the relationship. I think it's for many people in the West, it's unfamiliar, so they can just, latch on to the first person that appears, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a tremendous amount of spiritual importance.
Right, and
damage.
right, and they have a list of qualities to look for. The scripture says that there's lists of qualities to look for in teachers. Good ethical conduct, meditation experience, compassion, knowledge of the scriptures, all sorts of things like that. One of the qualities of that is not on the list to look for is charisma. But that's the one that most people look for, is charisma, because we want Hollywood. And if you go for a teacher with charisma, you will get Hollywood, complete with the dramas and the everything else that Hollywood brings, okay? So, don't look for titles, don't look for, people have titles, people have big groups and lots of disciples, but those things alone aren't guarantees that person's a good teacher. Yeah, you have to look at their knowledge, you have to look at how they live their life, how they treat other people, whether they have a good relationship with their own teacher and with His Holiness the Dalai Lama. You have to really check things out. Don't just go for the glitter. Yeah? So,
One of the things that I struggle with is like OCD. Are any of these meditations good for that person?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
You mentioned a name that Sayadaw something or other.
Oh, Mahasi Sayadaw. He was the one that used the mindfulness, the word mindfulness in the way I was describing. But if you're interested in how to use it for, OCD, yeah, then contact a therapist who is proficient in that. That's the best way to go. Okay, so what I'd like to go into now is, we still have to talk about the last one, don't we? The last hindrance. I almost forgot about that one. Okay, so the last one is doubt. Yeah? So doubt is a mind. They say doubt is like a two-pointed needle. Doubt is, should I do this? Should I do that? Is it like this? Is it like that? Yeah. And specifically, this kind of doubt is inclined towards the wrong conclusion. But, if you have a two-pointed needle, you can't sew, can you? It just doesn't work because you're immobilized. You can't go this way and you can't go that way. So when we have a lot of doubt, we're similarly stuck. Yeah. So here, the doubt might come in the form of, are these the right meditation instructions? I don't know if these are the right meditation instructions. This teacher says this teacher says that. Pali tradition says this, Mahayana tradition says that. Which way is it? And so you get yourself all tangled up instead of seeing that all those things are non-contradictory. Or you might get into the thing of, is it really possible to concentrate the mind and attain single-pointedness? I don't know. All these brain scientists, they talk about where your brain waves go and this and that, and that they don't have any research on attention, and they say that you're always attaining objects. So maybe switching objects. So maybe all this stuff on serenity just is impossible. Anyway, I can't do it, so it must be impossible. Okay, so that kind of doubt. Or it might be, serenity is possible, but am I up to it? I just can't do things very well. I don't have enough time, and, this is so demanding. I just don't know, and, yeah. So the mind that's just filled with one doubt after another. And this just keeps us from making any progress. We're really, really stuck. So what I suggest as an antidote to doubt is first you have to see what kind of doubt it is. If it's the kind of doubt where you need information to answer the question, or you're curious about how what the teachings are on something, and you need information, then study, ask a teacher, Get your questions answered. Don't just sit there going, oh, I don't know, maybe this, maybe that. Ask, learn, study. Okay? If it's the kind of doubt that is like heading towards cynicism, all this stuff is just kind of, just this, new age kind of blah, blah, garbage. It's just, and you're getting quite cynical, then you have to really stop that. Because the cynical mind is, it's another trick of our self-centeredness. Yeah, when our mind doesn't really want to change, what keeps us from changing? We get lazy, and I think cynicism is a form of laziness. Yeah, because cynicism makes us discouraged, and discouragement is a form of laziness. Yeah, so don't let your mind go to cynicism. If it starts going there, oh, these scientists say blah, blah. Well, scientists also change what they say every year. And they, and studies on the brain aren't going to really help you in terms of developing concentration or gaining realizations. They're just the studies about the hardware, the physical hardware of the brain. Whereas, the Buddha's talking about how to actually transform the mind. And scientists don't study the mind. They don't know what it is. They study the brain. The brain and the mind are two different things. Okay? There's an interface, but don't think that what the scientists tell you about neuroplasticity is God's word. And it's interesting and it's nice that there's correlations, but the Buddha's been teaching his method for this method has been practiced for 2,600 years. So I think it's fairly reliable. And science can corroborate some of it, so that's very nice, but not essential. If it's so, you can get a feeling after a while if the doubt is just like your self-centered mind playing with you, just kind of creating obstacles. Do you know what I mean? Can you see that kind of thought pattern where your mind just is like, it doesn't want to do anything, so it just says, well, what about this and what about that? Yeah. So that just gets you stuck. So just realize it for what it is. This is deluded doubt. This is my self-centered mind making making problems. I'm not going to listen to it. And like I said, if you have genuine questions, then study, learn, ask teachers, think about things. One thing when you're studying is don't expect the teacher to answer all of your questions. Yeah, because often our teachers tell us the answer to the question, and then we ask the question again because we didn't understand the answer. And it's not because the answer was deficient, it was because our mind is obscured, or because we're too lazy to really sit and think about it. And we have this kind of consumer mentality of, well, I'm the consumer, it's your job to teach me, so I'm just going to ask you the same question again and again till you tell me the answer that satisfies me. But actually, as Dharma students, our job is to think about the teachings and to apply them. Yeah? And nobody else can do that for us. And if we find that our mind is really dull and we're not getting anywhere, then we need to do more purification. We need to do more accumulation of merit, because our mind is obscured, and so that makes it harder to understand things. So learning Dharma is very different than learning in school. Learning in school, you're expected to remember everything. Understand it, well, maybe, but at least remember it and be able to tell the teacher what they already know. on a test. Learning the Dharma is very different. You have to hear the teachings again and again and again and again, and think about them again and again and again. Okay? And that's part of the whole process. So just because you don't understand something at the beginning, it doesn't mean you're dumb. It doesn't mean the teaching is insufficient. It doesn't mean the teacher is dumb. Yeah, it means it takes time to learn and understand these things. And our learning and understanding also depends on purifying the mind and accumulating merit. That's quite important, you know. Otherwise, to have this kind of long-range view towards our education, it's not like learning in college or high school or something like that. It's very different. Okay. Mm-hmm.
When you say purification, like any specific?
Okay, when I say purification, what I mean is we've done, various negative actions. The 10 destructive actions: killing, stealing, unwise and unkind sexual behavior, lying, creating disharmony, harsh words, idle talk, coveting, malice, wrong views. So we've done these kind of destructive and harmful actions with body, speech, and mind. And the imprints of those actions, or the energy traces of those actions, are with our mind stream, and they influence where we're reborn, what we encounter in our life, whether we can understand the Dharma or not, or to what degree we can understand the Dharma. Okay? So when our minds are quite obscured, then we need to do purification practices to reduce the force of, these negativities that we've done in the past. So, for example, the 35 Buddhas, prostrations to the 35 Buddhas, did you do that last night? In the morning, okay. Yeah, so that is a very good practice. The Vajrasattva purification is also very good. There's usually 4 opponent powers that we do with purification: regretting the action, taking refuge and generating bodhicitta. 3rd one is making a determination not to do it again. 4th is some kind of a remedial action. And so we do those 4 together, and with strong intention, strong motivation, and then that helps to purify the negative karma that we've created in the past. Powers. Yeah. Okay. So purification's very, very helpful.
So when you do this, you should always do all 4?
Yes. You do all 4 opponent powers. Because if you regret an action but you don't make a determination not to do it again,
Right.
Okay.
No, you mentioned different purification practices.
Oh, those you can choose 1 and just do it, or 2, or as you feel.
And those are all in these books here?
Well, the prostrations to the 35 Buddhas is in the blue prayer book. The Vajrasattva meditation is in the red prayer book. And I think there's recordings of the Vajrasattva meditation on tuptanchudran.org. So you can learn it there. And there's an explanation of the prostrations to the 35 Buddhas, also on tuptanchudran.org. Okay. Yeah. Zoe?
How would you recommend? I've only been meditating for a few months, and not every meditation is successful, but I've been able to achieve serenity and peace. But how would you recommend trying to access more embedded emotions? Because I've talked to people who have said they've been able to achieve that through meditation, but the thoughts that I end up seeing myself having are kind of more typical.
Okay, so you're asking about how to access deeper levels of emotions. I think when you practice for a while, that stuff automatically comes. And especially if you're doing purification practice, it just automatically comes. You don't have to try. All your garbage. The reason they're giggling is because... Anybody giggling? Yeah, who wants to tell her about it? Okay, go on.
I think, you know, I came here never having really done purification practice before, and I was actually shocked at the forgiveness retreat. There were things that came up that I haven't thought about for maybe more than 15 years. And just really, really, I feel like purification, it's like really shaking things up deep down, and things just bubble up all of a sudden. There's no way to look for them exactly, but for me, it was once I started getting past the things that were on the kind of surface of my head, like those typical thoughts, then I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. I've gotten past something, and then
Yeah. You'll be surprised the quantity and quality of the garbage that comes up. So that's why you need a teacher too, because that helps you really work through some of those things.
If I were to never done purification practice, what would you say is the way to start it? Basic kind of.
I think the prostrations is very, very helpful. Yeah, because it's engaging our body, and we're imagining the Buddha and so much light coming from the Buddha, and we're thinking about specific things that we've done in our life that we regret, that we really want to change those emotional habit patterns and, things we've done in our life that we just feel, I don't want to do again, I'm done, I'm finished with that. And so making a very strong intention not to do that again with the 35 Buddhas, I think is very good. Mm-hmm.
When I first started doing it, I got a lot of emotions I really didn't want to deal with either.
Mm-hmm.
I went too deep, and I really got scared trying to do it on my own. When I come here or do it in a group, I feel safe. Like if I have questions or if I have a breakdown, I have a place where they can lead me through it to the other side. So I really, really encourage you to do it here or at a practice with teachers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's very good advice, Tree. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which, although the Vajrasattva you said practice is available online, that would be because of the intensity. I think that should be there on a different level.
Yeah.
Is there ever a retreat that's ever available here?
Yeah, we did Vajrasattva retreat here last winter, and I think some of the new people will be doing it this winter too. This winter, our retreat is going to be on the four establishments of mindfulness, but there's going to be a group of people. Some of you don't know it yet. Katya, Ruby, Jack, who's going to be doing Vajrasattva. So, yeah. So it's nice to do it as a group. Yeah, they don't know what we have in store for them. Yeah, you might be in that group too. Yeah, I said Katya. Yeah. John, yes, you can be in that too.
I want to make comments about the beginning meditation now. If you notice, these groups of people at the Abbey, when they're talking about meditation, you notice people aren't saying, oh yeah, I've got all these realizations and I'm doing so great. It takes a long time, and the combined meditation in this room is probably centuries worth when you take all the nuns and how long they've been meditating. So your progress is slow. And I'm telling you, you gotta watch out what people tell you out there, because they're gonna lay BS on you a lot of times. Just be careful for that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't have much to say after that. What I wanted to go over the kind of prerequisites for doing calm abiding meditation, or serenity meditation, but we're kind of out of time right now. So tomorrow morning I'll start off with that, and then hopefully we'll get to the 5 faults and the 8 antidotes. If we don't, they are in Genlam Rinpoche's book, so you can check up there. Okay? So this session, there's been a lot of talking, a lot of, you can see when we start to do concentration meditation, then all the restless energy is like, as a group it comes up and kind of boils over. So we have to make sure now that we go back into silence, back into finding a calm, tranquil place inside of ourselves. And then continue in the break time, because what you do in your break times is valuable too, and create that sense of peace, remember your meditation object in your break time, and then the evening meditation and so on. Okay, so let's remember to transition back.